These are some Dinar Guru updates, starting off with Mountain Goat. The Sudanese government obliges all of its institutions to deal in the Iraqi dinar. Mountain Goat says it's definitely a move in the right direction, but they still need to create a demand for the dinar from outside of Iraq, thus eliminate the need to exchange the dinar for dollars to spend on obligations and purchases outside of Iraq. The pieces are all in place, and so when will they pull the trigger? All right, RV already. Article quote, Parliament pushes the agenda for next Saturday's session. We must remember there is no requirement for the budget to RV. The CBI could launch the RV tomorrow morning. All right, walking stick via Frank 26. Last week, the central bank met with all its banks and gave them more instructions. In fact, the article we called the second article from the CBI that came out Sunday, telling the citizens we have a new currency, we have a new exchange rate we're about to give to you, was discussed in the CBI meetings last week with all the banks, preparing them, putting them in position that needed to be. Walking Stick goes on to say the United States side had its own Zoom meeting yesterday with Walking Stick's former firms 1 and 2 owned banks with all their employees. Last week, the meeting with the CBI, only the top echelon, the owners and managers, now managers yesterday had, well, at least 1 and 2, had their meeting with their people, their employees. It's basically the ending process of what the banks have to do right now to introduce the new exchange rate and to introduce the new currency to the citizens. The education is pretty well set. Mark Z via PDK, Iraq has been fairly quiet. I am being told that banks over there as well as here in the U.S. and all over the world have been getting redemption instructions over the last day or two, so they will be prepared for when it does occur. We still don't have a solid theory on timing. I do hear they were still trying to do it before the 31st. They're keeping the timing broad on purpose so nobody knows the timing. The chatter continues to be very encouraging. The movement continues to be very encouraging. All right, Pimpy article quote, a new rise. The exchange rate of the dollar is close to 160,000 dinars. 1,600 to $1 is the wrong direction. Nothing that I would be panicking about, but definitely in the wrong direction. 1,600 is not what we want per dollar. The smaller that number gets, the better it is for us. All right, Frank 26, in my opinion, based on the fact that they already told them they're going to give them a new rate, that would be compatible with the new currency they're going to give them. They already told them about the float. They already told them about the coins. They already told them about the ATM machines. Are they still talking to the citizens and educating them all? Yeah, go to this bank and don't go to that bank is one of the latest things they did. All right, Hennig article quote, Iraq amongst most prominent countries to buy gold in 2022. Quote, gold reserves in Iraq represent 8.7% of its total international reserves. Regarding the largest Arab countries owning gold, Saudi Arabia continued to lead the list as it possesses 323.1 tons, followed by Lebanon with 286.8 tons, followed by Algeria with 173.6 tons, then Iraq with 130.3 tons, then Egypt with 125.5 tons. Mark Z via PDK and Iraq news, dollar prices decline in Baghdad and Erbil. The U.S. dollar started sliding in their local markets. For many years, the rate did not slide. It did not move as it was pegged. We are watching this. All right, Paulette, watch for when the GOI is going to pass the budget. I hope it is not until after the CBI reinstitutes their currency, which must occur prior or simultaneous to the RI. I believe it will be prior with the RI to follow from 2 weeks to upwards of a year. I don't think a year is likely, but Shabibi said that inflation has to be monitored prior to moving ahead. I am hopeful that the CBI is currently doing that in their reported experiment in depegging from the USD. Sampson article quote, Iraq is no longer obligated to receive oil revenues from the U.S. Federal Reserve. The shackles of Chapter 7 are off. Iraq is going international. All right, Mark Z via PDK, there's a lot of chatter about this evening on the banking side. I alluded to it last night. I think it may be premature by a couple days, but we shall see. Tonight is highly possible, according to some of my bank sources. They have been interesting rates bouncing on the screens recently. The lower rate I gave you on the dong, $2 to $2.25-ish, may be inaccurate based on rates I heard this afternoon. They may be low. There is a chance, though, that we may cross the finish line tonight. Again, it may be premature, but I believe we are really close. Frank 26, the confidence in the float you've got to find yourself. It will go out at 1. For someone that says, I'm going to wait until it goes up, fine. If you've got a lot of dinars, you can afford to do that. If you don't have a lot of dinars, you can't afford to do that, in my opinion. Question, are you listening? I told you something without telling you. All right, and lastly, Mountain Goat article quote, how Iraq is paid for its oil and where the money goes, how the process goes, unquote. Mountain Goat says the daily transactions of dinars to dollars should be just enough to pay for imports needed for the economy of Iraq. The CBI knows what this amount is. We've been told it's about 20 to 30 million a day, and so getting it down to this amount from $200 tells us lots of the past stolen money is no longer funneling out of Iraq. This is due mainly from the new currency auction platform recently put in place.